Welcome to the Week 1 review of the 10-week challenge, where we'll be trying to improve as much as possible at the game of chess with a planned and structured approach to play and study. In this review session, we'll be taking a look at our goals for Week 1, how those compared with our actual results. We'll then look at our plans for Week 2, and close things out, we'll look at some of our stats from Week 1's play. So, our goals. What were we looking to achieve? We planned to dedicate approximately 15 hours to chess, split roughly 50-50, with half of our time on play, half of our time on study. And that study time broken down further into 40% on analysis, 40% on lessons, and 20% on puzzles, with all of these taking place on chess.com primarily. So how do they compare with our actual results? In terms of the amount of time, we put in a bit more than 15 hours, hitting 20 hours, so a good result there. For the split, it was approximately 60% on play, 40% on study, so a little off on what we set out on, but again, pretty close. And in terms of the study split, this is where the main difference came in. We ended up spending 40% of our time on puzzles compared to the 20% we planned, and this resulted in a reduction for both lessons and for analysis. The reason for this is that I found that fitting puzzles into day-to-day breaks that were short, say 3 to 4 minutes long, was much easier than fitting lessons and analysis. For lessons and analysis, I found that you needed to set much more time aside to dedicate to them when you were doing them. So when you have short breaks, fitting puzzles in was just going to be much easier, so I ended up spending a lot more time on them. So on to our plans for Week 2. In terms of the hours, we're going to go back to the 15-hour goal. Even though we reached 20 hours last week, 15 hours seems like a good target that we should be able to reach without over-pushing ourselves. For the split, we're going to go back to the 50-50 plan. Again, we got close to this last week, so we'll set out again to go for a 50-50 approach. For the split of study, this is where we're going to change things up the most. We're going to reduce our analysis slightly, down to 30%. We're going to reduce our lessons again down to 30%. This is for the reasons stated earlier, that it's simply a bit more difficult to fit these into the shorter breaks that you have during day-to-day. This results in 40% being left over. But rather than spending all of this time on puzzles, we're going to go back to the target of 20% on puzzles and then spend 20% studying openings. I believe studying openings should be similar to puzzles, where you can benefit by taking the short breaks that you have in each day and dedicating that time to studying the openings. So we've ended the week with a rating on Rapid of 1052, up 199 from our starting point. We started pretty low, down at 853, was the initial rating they gave us after the first game. We had a very nice climb all the way up to a high point of 1121, but our sample size was pretty small at this stage, and we seemed to be running a bit over expectations in terms of our skill level. After this, we dropped a few points and closed out the week on 1052. Still pretty happy with this result. Before starting this challenge, the highest point I had ever seen was 1030, and generally my rating was quite a bit lower than this and was 970 just before this challenge started. So for Week 1, I'd be happy enough with that rating mark. In terms of the games we played 58 games. We won approximately 48% of those, lost 46. So what we'd be looking to do is ideally get this win percentage up much higher. We actually started the week off with a very high win percentage, and then it evened out as the week went on. Hopefully we can get this win percentage back up for Week 2 to result in our ratings having a better climb. Taking a quick look at the split between white and black, not surprisingly we had better results when we played white. We won almost 50% of those, so we had a pretty good record in white, and our record in black was quite the opposite. Winning only 40% and losing almost 54%. Again, this isn't surprising. You have an advantage when you're playing white, but we would really like to get these black stats improved, which again will help our overall stats. All of that has resulted as being in the top 25% of people that play Rapid on chess.com. So not a bad result for week 2. Like we said, hopefully that can improve further for week 2. So quick look at puzzles. Like we said, we ended up spending quite a bit of time on these. Actually, we spent about 4.5 hours in total on solving puzzles, but these were broken down into many bite-sized puzzle sessions. As mentioned, these are much easier to fit into any small breaks that you have in day-to-day life. So we started at a 400 puzzles rating, and we grew pretty rapidly up to around the 1500 level and went up further there, hitting a high point of 1614, although it has leveled off towards the end. We're not seeing as much progress. We're getting approximately 74% of them correct so far, which is a pretty good result, and I think what we'd shoot for is about a 75% result, although we have to remember that the initial puzzles that were rated at 400 were on the easier side, so our completion percentage in more recently is lower than that, and the average has come out at approximately 74%. As well as the games and puzzles, we've also spent a decent amount of time on the built-in lessons in chess.com. We've generally been covering topics that are on the beginner/basic side, so all the rules of the game, how to move the pieces, how you play, general opening principles, winning the game, etc. From here, topics will be getting a bit more advanced, and we would be planning to get through quite a number of lessons for week 2. Okay, so that's it for our week 1 review. We'll be back during the week for a midweek check-in. You can also follow us on Twitter, where we'll be putting out daily updates, and we'll also be streaming our play regularly on Twitch. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.